ISKCON VBT founder Acharya His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Jai Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivraj Kacharya Statara Shata Shishilo Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Namachari Shri Haridas Thakur ki jai. Prem se ko Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gauri Bhaktivinoda ki jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopika Shyam Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan ki jai. Braj Bhumi Shri Vrindavan Dham ki jai. Jagannath Puri Dham ki jai. Navadvip Mayapur Dham ki jai. Ganga Mai ki jai. Yamuna Mai ki jai. Bhakti Devi ki jai. Tulasi Maharani ki jai. Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki jai. Transcendental Book and Prashadam Distribution ki jai. Gaura Premanandi. All glories to the seventh devotee. All glories to the seventh devotee. All glories to the seventh devotee. All glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
The lotus feet of Bhagavad are the only way by which you can obtain the purification of souls. I bow down to his lotus feet with many palm remnants, and ask grace so I can cross the ocean of material suffering and obtain the mercy of Krishna. My only wish is to have my consciousness purified by the words emanating from his lotus mouth. Attachment to his lotus feet is the perfection that fulfills all desires. He opens my darkened eyes and fills my heart with transcendental knowledge. He is my Lord, purified to birth. From him ecstatic prema emanates. By him ignorance is destroyed. The Vedic scriptures sing of his character. Our spiritual master is the ocean of mercy, the friend of the poor and the Lord master of the ruthless. O Master, be merciful unto us, and give us the shade of your lotus feet. May your fame be spread all over the three worlds. We take shelter at your lotus feet, Srila Prabhupada ki.
I'm sorry, Subhadra Maharani ki jai, Shri Gopika ki jai. Giriraj Maharaj ki jai, Bhagwan ki jai. Shari Gopika ki jai. Arvind Gopika Devi. Arvind Gopika Devi. Shri ki jai.
Yeah.
Arvind Gopika. Shari Gopika ki jai.
So a reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 23, Text 12. Chinanya dira digatadma gatir nihira nirihas
Nirihas.
Tattatyaje chinadidam vayunena yena.
Tattatyaje chinadidam vayunena yena.
Tavam na yoga gati viryatira pramato.
Tavam na yoga gati viryatira pramato.
Yavad gada grajakata shuratim nakuryat.
Yavad gada grajakata suratim nakuryat.
Chinanyadiradigataatma gatir nirihas.
Chinanyadiradigataatma gatir nirihas.
Tattatyaje chinadidam vayunena yena.
Tattatyaje chinadidam vayunena yena.
Tavam na yoga gati viryati apramato.
Tavam na yoga gati viryati apramato.
Yavad gada grajakata suratim nakuryat.
Yavad gada grajakata suratim nakuryat.
Please chant.
Chinanyadiradigataatma gatir nirihas.
Chinanyadiradigataatma gatir nirihas.
Tattatyaje chinadidam vayunena yena.
Tattatyaje chinadidam vayunena yena.
Tavanna yoga gati viryatira pramato.
Tavanna yoga gati viryatira pramato.
Yavad gada grajakata suratim nakuryat.
Yavad gada grajakata suratim nakuryat. Chinanyadiradigataatma gatir nirihas. Chinanyadiradigataatma gatir nirihas. Tattatyaje chinadidam vayunena yena. Tattatyaje chinadidam vayunena yena. Tavanna yoga gati viryatira pramato. Tavanna yoga gati viryatira pramato. Yavat kadagra chakata suratim nakuryat. Yavat kadagra chakata suratim nakuryat.
Chinanyadiradigataatma gatir nirihas.
Chinanyadiradigataatma gatir nirihas.
Tattatyaje chinadidam vayunena yena.
Tattatyaje chinadidam vayunena yena.
Tavanna yoga gati viryatir apramato.
Tavanna yoga gati viryatira pramato.
Yavat gada grajakata suratim nakuryat.
Yavat kadagra chakata suratim nakuryat. China
Being separated.
being separated.
Anyadi, all other concepts of life,
All other concepts of life,
the bodily concept of life.
the bodily concept of life.
Adigata,
Adigata,
being firmly convinced.
being firmly convinced.
Atmagati,
Atmagati,
the ultimate goal of spiritual life.
the ultimate goal of spiritual life.
Niriha,
Niriha,
desireless.
desireless.
Tat,
Tat,
that.
that.
Tatyaje,
Tatyaje,
gave up.
gave up.
Achinat,
Achina,
he had cut.
had cut.
Idam,
Idam,
this.
this.
Vayunena,
Vayunena,
with the knowledge.
with the knowledge.
Yena,
Yena,
by which.
by which.
Tavad, so long.
So long.
Na,
Na,
never.
never.
Yoga Gativihi,
Yoga Gati,
the practice of the mystic yoga system.
the practice of the mystic yoga system.
Yati,
Yati,
the practicer, it says here. It says for you also? Practicer.
practice of it.
I just never saw it. The practicer. Apramattaha, without any illusion. Yavat, so long. Gadagraja, of Krishna. Kathasu, words. Ratim, attraction. Na, never. Kuryat, do it. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. When he became completely free from the conception of bodily life, Maharaj Prithu realized Lord Krishna sitting in everyone's heart as the Paramatma. Being thus able to get all instructions from him, he gave up all other practices of yoga and jnana. He was not even interested in the perfection of the yoga and jnana systems, for he thoroughly realized that devotional service to Krishna is the ultimate goal of life, and that unless the yogis and jnanis become attracted to Krishna Katha, narrations about Krishna, their illusions concerning existence can never be dispelled. Purports. As long as one is too much absorbed in the bodily conception of life, he becomes interested in many different processes of self-realization, such as the mystic yoga system or the system utilizing the speculative empiric methods. However, when one understands that the ultimate goal of life is to approach Krishna, he realizes Krishna within everyone's heart, and therefore helps everyone who is interested in Krishna consciousness. Actually, the perfection of life depends on one's inclination to hear about Krishna. It is therefore mentioned in this verse, Yavat Gadagraja Kathasu Ratim na Kuryat. Unless one becomes interested in Krishna, in his pastimes and activities, there is no question of liberation by means of yoga practice or speculative knowledge. Having attained to this stage of devotion, Maharaj Prithu became uninterested in the practices of jnana and yoga and abandoned them. This is the stage of pure devotional life as described by Rupa Goswami. Anyabilasita sunyam jnana karmadena vritam anukulyena krishnanu shilanam bhaktiruttama. Real jnana means understanding that the living entity is the eternal servant of the Lord. This knowledge is attained after many, many births, as confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 7:19. Anybody knows? Who is not reading the verse? 7:19, yeah. Yes. In the Paramahamsa stage of life, one fully realizes Krishna as everything. Vasudeva Sarvamiti Sa Mahatma Sudurlabha. When one understands fully that Krishna is everything and that Krishna consciousness is the highest perfection of life, he becomes a Paramahamsa or Mahatma. Such a Mahatma or Paramahamsa is very rare to find. A Paramahamsa or pure devotee is never attracted by Hatha Yoga or speculative knowledge. He is simply interested in the unalloyed devotional service of the Lord. Sometimes one who was formerly addicted to these processes tries to perform devotional service and the jnana and yoga practices at the same time. But as soon as one comes to the unalloyed stage of devotional service, he is able to give up all other methods of self-realization. In other words, when one firmly realizes Krishna as the supreme goal, he is no longer attracted by mystic yoga practice or the speculative empirical methods of knowledge. Om Jnana Timirandasya Vyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangunagayati Yad Kripa Tamaham Vande Shri Guru Vinataranam Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Vacha Patitanam Pavanibhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namre Namaste Sarasvati Deve Gauravani Prasharne Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschachari Shatayane Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadada Vishvasari Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. To be a little short class. It's okay. Well, this verse to me it really spoke of the supremacy of bhakti. To me, it's really the main message here. How bhakti is superior to all of these other processes, jnana, yoga, mystic yoga. And here we have also glorification of Prithu Maharaj's achievements, final achievements. He had such a exemplary life, wonderful achievements, and now is the final and most important, we can say, is attain, is demonstrating to us the practice of devotional service and realizing Krishna. And there is this word here, Anyadi, Chinanyadi, in the beginning of the verse. Anyadi is translated as all other concepts of life, the bodily concept of life. So he abandoned this. Excuse me. He completely abandoned this bodily concept of life. And then we see that he loses interest in anything else. He's just focused on the Lord. And then he realizes Krishna. Haribol. Thank you. Give him blessings. He realized Krishna in everyone's heart. He had realized himself as a spirit soul. Right? This is jnana. Prabhupada describes also jnana as this knowledge of that you are not the body, and ultimately that you are servant of Krishna. It's described also in this the purport. And we hear of jnana also. There is these two ways we hear of jnana. There is jnana in the sense of the process, right? The speculative knowledge, logic, and then we also use it in the sense of knowledge, just knowledge. I really, I liked this sentence that Srila Prabhupada mentions in the purport, how real jnana means understanding that the living entity is the eternal servant of the Lord. Because the jnanis, those who practice the process of the jnana yoga, they are through knowledge, through the acquisition of knowledge, they are trying to become detached from everything and to realize themselves as one with Krishna, not with Krishna, with Brahma. And Prabhupada also mentions here in the purport how there is no means of actual liberation by these practices of jnana and mystic yoga as well. The yogis, they are trying to realize Paramatma, right, in the heart. And you see here, Prithu Maharaj realized that too. He realized Paramatma in the hearts of everyone, and he tries to help everyone who is interested in Krishna consciousness. That is also interesting. That's the attitude of the devotee, right? He realizes Krishna, he understands who he is, who Krishna is, and he wants to help everybody else. And there's this very interesting sentence also that Prabhupada mentions, that actually the perfection of life depends on one's inclination to hear about Krishna. unless one becomes interested in Krishna, in his pastimes and activities, there is no question of liberation by yoga practice or speculative knowledge. So that was I found this very important point, that what does it mean? Now I was thinking why perfection of life depends on the inclination to hear, and Prabhupada himself is explaining here that if we don't want to become interested in Krishna, if we don't want to know him, if we don't want to approach him, then there is no question of liberation. We're just gonna think like those who practice jnana or other processes. They are called, they're said to be vimukta manina. They think they're liberated, but they're actually, I think you mentioned, in class, or no? This is a verse from the 11th canto. No, sorry. 10th canto. Although non-devotees who accept severe austerities and penances to achieve the highest position may think themselves liberated, their intelligence is impure. They fall down from their position of imagined superiority because they have no regard for a lotus feet. So I think it was mentioned before that even to execute these processes, you need bhakti. Right? You need the blessings of the Lord to be successful. And this is a gradual process, right? We learn about the yoga ladder. We have these steps, different processes, and the highest is bhakti yoga, right? Bhakti yoga is a direct process, and it is recommended actually in this age to engage in bhakti yoga. And it's very difficult to engage in these other processes. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of. We don't have capacity really for this. In this point, there was Vanu Swami. I heard a lecture from him. He was making this point that this gradual process is dangerous. Because people require good association to take to the next level. Otherwise, they just remain stuck, in one of these levels, in jnana, in yoga. So it's not recommended. And bhakti covers all the other processes, right? And also Prabhupada mentions here how Prithu Maharaj attained to the stage of devotion, and then he became uninterested in all of these other processes, and that's the stage of pure devotional life. So that means he got some higher taste, right? You become disinterested in something because you got interest in something else, in something better. Haribol. So, I was remembering this example of the 4 Kumaras also, where they are mentioned usually as Gyanis, right? They were examples of Gyanis who became so attracted to the Lord after smelling the tulsi leaves from his lotus feet. And recently I heard a lecture from Radhikaraman Prabhu. He was mentioning actually that it was not really the smell of tulsi, but it was the Lord's lotus feet. They have a fragrance, He was saying that, he said it's not that the Lord needs, a bunch of flowers and tulsi to have his feet smell good, His feet have a wonderful fragrance, and they mix with the fragrance of tulsi, and that was what attracted the 4 Kumaras. I thought it was very nice. He explained it, based on the Sanskrit and everything. I would not be able to repeat it. That was the point. And just from the previous verse, I thought it was nice to mention, just reinforce about the yogis and jnanis. In the previous purport, Prabhupada mentions how they are always doubtful about their constitutional position, and they mistakenly think of becoming one with the Supreme, but the devotee's relationship with the Supreme becomes manifest beyond all doubt, and he immediately understands that his position is that of eternal servant of the Lord. Gyanis and yogis without devotion may think themselves liberated, but actually their intelligence is not pure as that of a devotee. So that's exactly that other verse I mentioned also. And they can only become factually liberated unless they become elevated to position of devotees. So really it's I see it as a really glorification of bhakti. And I just wanted to mention the verse I referred to the other day in class about pure devotional service and its potency. It's 11th canto, chapter 2, verse 12. Pure devotional service rendered to the Supreme Lord is spiritually so potent that simply by hearing about such transcendental service, by chanting its glories in response, by meditating on it, by respectfully and faithfully accepting it, or by praising the devotional service of others, even persons who hate the demigods and all other living beings can be immediately purified. So imagine, it's that's a very powerful verse, very powerful process of Bhakti Yoga, pure devotion. And in the purport, Prabhupada says, even those who by worldly standards are implicated in various ways in sinful behavior can easily be purified by adopting any of the processes mentioned in this verse. So any of these, just by picking one and practicing it. In the practice of ordinary piety, one worships God with the expectation of receiving something in return for one's service. Similarly, the impersonalist aspires for his own liberation, wishfully thinking that he will become equal to God. In Bhagavad Dharma, however, there is no such impurity. It is devotional service to the Lord in which the only objective is the satisfaction of the Lord. So this point of satisfaction of the Lord, right? And we heard from the purport also the verse by Rupa Goswami, Anya Bilasita Sunyam, Jnana Karmadhyana Vritam, describing pure devotion, pure devotional service. And it is really that is performed for Krishna's pleasure. And I was hearing Niranjana Swami's class for Vyasapuja Srila Prabhupada, and he was mentioning also that about pure devotion, that the symptom, he was saying, what's the symptom of devotion? The symptom of devotion is that we want to please the object of one's service, that we don't have any desire for fruitive gain without any conditions, And how he was making a point how the slightest devotional service will bear permanent result, and you'll never forget that taste, even for a moment you do something for Krishna that will never be lost. And even if you fall, he said, even if you fall at some point, you'll never forget that taste. And he was saying how for them, for Srila Prabhupada's disciples, was Prabhupada's smile, that for them was like perfection. Everything they did was to just get Prabhupada to smile. And he said something like, and that was actually so easy to get from Prabhupada. He wanted something so simple from us, and he wanted that we are happy, he was saying. Just be happy in Krishna consciousness. And how Prabhupada knew the formula to do that, to give others a taste of Krishna. He couldn't get others to think of Krishna, to serve Krishna. Because he knew if they do something, even a little something for Krishna, that will bear permanent result. They will never forget that, So it was very beautiful. And if we have time, I wanted really to share. It was one offering to Srila Prabhupada by one of his disciples that I received yesterday. It's by Ame Yatma Prabhu. I don't really know him, but he's from North America. I could see he's based in North America. And I'll just read it if that's okay. It's not so long. That is very nice. Jai Jagannath Baladevi Devi ki Jai. Shri Gauri ki Jai. So he says, to His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, it has been 46 long years since I last saw you in person in 1976. You never made it back to Los Angeles in 1977, and I was not able to come to India to see you again. For 41 of those years, I had a friend, a partner, my wife, who also left this world this year, and in an auspicious way. She had kidney disease, then congestive heart failure due to high blood pressure. In the last month, she knew she would be leaving soon. In her last days, she hadn't slept for 36 hours. Then finally she fell asleep. After 18 hours, I tapped her on her shoulder and she immediately woke up, saying, Radha, Radha. I had never heard her call out to Radha like that before. She again said, Radha, Radha. Then she told me to start chanting. I put a recording of you, Srila Prabhupada, chanting Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, and I and our son, who was home, both started chanting the Maha Mantra. She asked for her Jagannath deity, and I placed him next to her. I put fresh tilak on her and placed a tulsi leaf in her mouth, and she left this world very peacefully, no struggle. She just stopped breathing. But Krishna was there, in the form of His holy name, being chanted not just by her husband and son, but by you, Srila Prabhupada, the pure devotee of Radha and Krishna. What was most auspicious in my view was that when I woke her up, and she called out for Radha, Radha, I knew right then that she was already on her way back home, and my waking her up brought her back here just long enough so that she could depart in a most auspicious way. Then, a week after she left, she appeared in my dream, where she gave me a message and asked that I tell others. The message she wanted me to tell is this. She was a simple devotee. She never held any position. She was not in charge of any projects. Yet, she wanted not just me, but others to know that she is being taken back home, back to Godhead. What she wanted me to tell everyone was that the program that you thought of, Srila Prabhupada, works. All we have to do is follow the simple program that you have so kindly given us. Just chant our 16 rounds daily, read your books, and render service to Krishna in the form of His deity, to render service to you, Srila Prabhupada, Krishna's pure devotee. We don't have to become a big, important devotee. We don't have to be in charge of this or that, or have followers, or be famous. If that becomes our service to you and Krishna, then fine, we carry it out the same way as we clean the temple room floor or wash Krishna's pots. We just do whatever service you and Krishna gives us in a humble and devotional mood. And that is the most important part, the devotional mood. Even if we're not able to render physical service, our mood must always be of devotion to Krishna. This was the message that she asked me to tell others, that your teachings work, Srila Prabhupada. All we have to do is follow what you have taught us, and regardless of who we are, regardless even if we have no important position, we will be earning our ticket back to go back home, back to Godhead, where we can serve you and Radha and Krishna directly. So I have decided to make this message as my offering to you this year, to tell others what my wife told me, that your teachings work, Srila Prabhupada. All we have to do is follow what you have given us. There is no way we can thank you for what you have given us. The way out of this miserable samsara of this material world. From the lowest planet to the highest, it is all a place of misery wherein repeated birth and death take place. We are now bound up, birth after endless birth, death after death, and we are bound up to this place of birth, death, old age, and disease. As you told us, Srila Prabhupada, this material world is no place for a gentleman. We must just do our business and get out. And you have shown us the path. You have given us the map. Your teachings and books shed the full brilliance of 1,000 suns lighting up this path. All we have to do is follow you. Follow what you have taught us, and our great escape from the endless cycle of birth and death are guaranteed. even for us, small, unimportant, common devotees who have no important social position, your teachings work for everyone. Thank you very much, aspiring to become your worthy and humble servant, Mayatman Das. And he was initiated in 73 December in LA. I thought it was such a beautiful offering. I just really appreciate these stories, these experiences of devotees when they share. I find it gives so much faith, to hear this. And it's showing us how Prabhupada gave us the highest, he gave us this bhakti, this process that takes us straight to the highest goal, back to our relationship with Krishna, that gives us actual jnana, as the verse says. So, and if we really simply follow what he gave us, and whatever service we're given, we try to do that the best we can. And we actually go back to Godhead, and we actually, attain the goal. So this is Srila Prabhupada's mercy to us, and thank you so much. I wanted really to share this offering. If you have anything you want to share or ask or correct, thank you. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.
What was the verse in the 11th canto? Can you say the chapter and number?
I think it was chapter 2, verse 12. Let me see. The one about pure devotional service?
Yeah, that even those who hate the demigods are not living entities.
11 to 12.
11 to 12.
Yeah, it's a wonderful. Guru Maharaj quotes so much this verse. I should learn by now because so many times he quotes. And in the purport again, Prabhupada says here that this pure devotional service to Krishna is unique, and even that the most fallen souls can immediately rise to the highest perfectional stage by surrendering at the lotus feet of Krishna, his pure devotees. So that's the power of this process. It's a good verse to learn, I know. Okay, thank you so much. You want to say something?
The Narayan to King Vasudeva. Do you remember?
Let me see, what's this chapter? It is chapter 2. Maharaj Nimi meets the Narayan. Yeah.
And the devotee was the Shutakir's wife.
The devotee what?
The devotee from Lake Timot. I suppose the Shutakir.
No, she was the wife of Amayatma. I could check a little bit yesterday. I could just see that he's from somewhere, LA. He took initiation there. He's still alive, it seems. I found a class on YouTube by him.
Because Shutakir Prabhu tell history similar with your wife when her little boy, very similar history.
There's also that devotee, what's his name, from Mayapur. He's astrologer, a very Yes, so there's even a movie, I think they made a movie about her, his wife.
There is on YouTube, Namrats interviewed Sri Nam Vanamali, and he speaks about it.
Oh wow.
What happened.
What's the story?
His wife left the body, and he was just, there's a lot of wonderful thing. You know, it was a really wonderful way how she left, and very similar to this one. Maybe I can send you the link to the.
3 cases of women.
Huh?
3 cases of women.
Yeah. I remember from her story something like she was in bed, very sick already, and she wanted so much to be in the temple. There was some ceremony happening in the temple at that time, and she wanted to be there in front of Panchatattva, and she actually had this desire to be close to Panchatattva, and she said that she was actually taken there to the lotus feet of Panchatattva, like she was there. Yeah, there's a lot of incredible things like that, you know. And she was really Nanda knew her. He said she was really a nice person, never very respectful and to everyone, and she was just a mother taking care of her children. Okay. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Thank you so much. Devotees ki jai.
Astor ki jai. So weißt du, dass wir noch hier oben Zeit haben? Nein. Ja, wir jetzt da schon mal alles ist gut. Das ist jeden Vorrat. Also eigentlich am halben Stückchen zwischen
Da kommt der Mensch war mir gut.
Você
Já vem para a escova de garrafa. Para mim acabou no domingo. Tem mais garrafa, não sei aonde, vocês acham? Eu queria fazer conta. Eu falei para ele, ó, vai dar sacola, acabou o pote está cheio. Vamos mandar isso ali.
Eu vou olhar de novo,
Ah, pode ser.
mas eu não lembro de ter visto. Eu vou olhar.
Quero uma pizza.
Mas isso quem faz é o...
Ele faz o que é mais fácil. Mas ele trouxe mais.
Tem?
Tem.
É porque rende bastante. Rende bastante.
A gente só usa.
Eu não uso, porque é chato de colocar e mais chato ainda para limpar a lamparina. Mais prático. Imagino que esteja no final também, né? Interessante isso, né? Como que a simplicidade para Krishna, né? 3 casos de mulheres, né? Isso é super legal, sabia?
E não falou para mim que essa esposa esqueci.
Para a Dancina?
Para lá na China. Ela
Conheci ela,
é
né?
super, sim, frequência. Mas assim, super humilde, né? E respeitando todo mundo. Isso era assim.
Você tem que conhecer a Rita Pujari da Irlanda. É que essa você tem que conhecer. Falei por ali, olha que você está indo para lá e ela quer associação com ela.
O que você acha que é
Primeiro, o foco dela. Mulher, você conhece a história dela?
Não.
Perdeu a filha afogada no lago quando tinha 6 anos de idade, lá.
Lá na Irlanda.
Aí ela fez um voto, fez uma promessa, né? De cuidar dele, isso na década de 80. E estava de mulher, Você entende como é difícil para uma mulher sozinha, sem esposa, sem companhia. Perder a filha, imagina a dor. E a foto dela, faz uma gala sozinha, coloca a noite para ver sozinha, não vai ninguém para lá.
Ela faz todas as idades, tipo, ela
e ela colocou um standard, um patamar lá em cima. Lembra que eu tiro sarro, né? É lógico que eu estou tirando sarro, mas é com total referência. Ela leu o Krishna Book. Pra você ter uma ideia. Ela faz o Tuda Se Puja sozinha à noite. Só em Mayapur faz isso. Não imagina como é. Ela é totalmente absorta, totalmente tocada. E o comportamento é totalmente calado. Mas, sabe, você vê a eficiência no trabalho, sabe? É muito legal, ela é muito legal. Mas quando você conversa com ela, você vê que tem uma super bem-humorada, sabe, inteligente. Aí ela tira férias, por exemplo, agora a Bolívia foi lá, agora ela encaixa que vai para Bernardo. É só isso que ela acha. Só.
Hola, mami. Estoy en el templo. ¿Dónde estás? En el templo.
Se puder ver para
Para que tomes darshan.
Vale a pena.
Eu acho até que eu já ouvi falar,
Que está
assim,
bonita.
em algum lugar, um artigo contando essa história.
Sim,
uma
saiu
garota que tinha
Aqui
que
está
ser
saindo
mulher,
É.
assim, que ela passou a se dedicar a essa deidade.
Não é bom fazer comparações, mas a gente fala, né, de Pamajang, de Vaz,
¿Qué?
do muro da Inglaterra,
Ya me voy en un ratito, ya tengo todo
Mas
empacado.
eles são famosos.
En una
Não que eles
media
estão
hora.
identificados com isso, né? Pelo contrário, eles são super humildes, super focados. Já é
Sim.
totalmente desconhecida, sabe? Ninguém fala nela, ninguém sabe, ninguém tem adoração para ela, fazer nada para ela, sabe? É mais difícil ainda a posição dela, sabe? Eu vejo ela no mesmo grupo desses pujares, só que ela é totalmente desconhecida, sabe? Eu lembro uma vez, 4 horas da manhã, 5 horas da manhã, eu ia cozinhar, né? Aí eu abro a torneira da cozinha, sem água, né?
Gracias.
Aí como que eu vou cozinhar sem água? Mahamudra, sem água.
Sim.
Na hora ela pegou um balde, foi na casa dela, que fica uns 300 metros,
Sim,
isso no inverno, foi correndo para pegar água sozinha, sabe? E sabe, sem reclamar, sem mental, sabe? Vai,
Sí,
vai,
mamá,
sabe?
gracias. Bye.
Aí eu abri a torneira do lado, tem água. Eu já tinha ido, né, coitada? O único, não vou dizer feio, mas a única companhia que ela tem são 2 gatos, só.
Não tem outras mulheres lá?
Tem, mas não estou falando na casa dela.
Ah,
Na casa dela tem 2 gatos só.
Nossa, realmente. Lembrei de uma tia também desse radical pai, sabe? Naline, sabe que ela morou em Vrindavan. Ela fazia tudo também, ela cuidava de Jagannatha. Tudo, praticamente tudo, de manhã até à noite. Era uma rotina super apertada. E ela ainda conseguia ler, ela lia todos os livros de Prabhupada em between, assim, né? Entre um serviço e outro, ela lia um pouquinho, leu todos os livros de Prabhupada, acabou no futuro, ela teve um momento que ela foi para a África, Bhakti-Citações, foi pregar na África, foi pregar, e aí ela lembra desse assassinato teve tinha umas gangues,
Sim.
mas aí eles pegaram um grupo de devotos lá, levaram para um lugar, e ela morreu defendendo os devotos. Você vai matar o Cristo, você vai ter que matar primeiro. Ela foi a primeira assim.
Nesse caso, heroína, sabe? Heroína mesmo.
Foi uma vida assim, incrível. Ela era. Você vê a trajetória que é um livro sobre a trajetória dela, nossa, incrível.
Sabe que realmente para se aproximar dos Vedas, você precisa ter muita consciência alerta, atenta. Você precisa ter muita maturidade realmente para aproximar dos Vedas. Porque a gente sabe as passagens, por exemplo, Kashyapa Muni, Kapila Deva, que são bastante fortes, né, com os velhos. O Prabhupada sempre repetindo, né, menos inteligente. Mas aí você vê o exemplo, né, Draupadi, Kunti, os exemplos, né, grandes devotas, né. representatividade de Draupadi no Mahabharata como bhakta, como devota, né? Lembra que ela atrai Krishna, né? Como despino ela, é a devoção dela. Quando Durvasa Muni vai, aquele milhar de discípulos, também é a devoção dela. E na prática, né, a gente vê esse caso das devotas, né? Tem que ser muito tolo, né, para não saber interpretar. Né? Você lê os Vedas, o que está falando, mas não saber conectar com a realidade. Né? A gente vê que essas grandes devotas, né? O exemplo mais recente é a mãe Marquita, né? Que também sem esposo, né? Aí aceita a consciência de Krishna, vai embriagar, depois vai para uma loucura e abandona o corpo, cuidando da deidade, né? Até hoje.
Eu acho legal que ele fala, né? Essa oferenda que é importante o devocional.
Essa simplicidade, essa humildade. Porque, veja, elas compulsoriamente estão numa posição humilde, né? Não tem prestígio, não tem celebridade, não tem posição.
Ainda que ela seja refugiada, mas né, olha tudo.
Tudo bem, refugiada, mas que importância tem isso na isso? Sabe? Diferente, por exemplo, de uma posição de um GBC ou de um guru, sabe?
Exato. E é de fato, ninguém fala dela assim, não escuta falar dela.
Só quem vai lá e vê que aí cai a ficha, sabe? Na verdade, isso tudo é a mente de Krishna. Quando o Krishna não dá opulência para o devoto, né? Prestígio, fama, Krishna está protegendo a devoção. E esses devotos que têm muita fama, muito prestígio, que é o caso da Radhanata Swami, Bhakti, aí Krishna dá essa fama e opulência porque eles vão se ocupar em serviço devocional e não vão se confundir, né? Não vão se confundir. Mas a grande maioria de nós se confunde.
É bom, né? Ter esses diferentes, tem diferentes exemplos. Né? Tem aqueles que têm a fama e eles mostram como lidar, como eles são capazes, né? Eles não se iludem, né, com fama. E tem os outros que não têm fama e também estão tranquilos, estão só servindo Cristo.
São diferentes funções, né? A Amanda não vai ser nada pregador, assim, não é a natureza dela. Ela é perfeita no que ela está fazendo.
Eu acho que a gente precisa também, assim, ter esses devotos famosos, né, digamos, que viram exemplos, né?
Eles vão liderar. Sim, eles vão liderar.
E ao mesmo tempo é tão bom ter esses exemplos também que, tipo, dá esperança também, assim, você não precisa ter nenhuma posição, você não precisa ter.
No caso, você realiza a opulência de Krishna, né? Representante de Krishna, né? E outro você realiza a questão da humildade, né? Tem nada disso.
Tem um monte de devotos assim, a gente nem sabe, né? Por exemplo, quietinho, mas
por exemplo,
ninguém sabe.
Esse pessoal de mental que tem uma conexão com o Guru Govinda Swami, né? Hoje o Guru Govinda Swami é reconhecido como um grande devoto. E fica caro quando você vê os livros dele. Mas na época, quando ele abandonou o corpo, sabe, não era bem assim não, né? Porque ele falava muito de Radha, Krishna, e na época achavam que era meio tabu falar de Radha Krishna naquela época, né? Porque o Prabhupada aconselha, né? Para não confundir, né? Com o relacionamento de mocinho e mocinha de idade, né? Mas ele realmente tinha potência, né? Mas ele foi muito compreendido na época, eu não sabia. Mas os devotos eram mais maturos, né? Mas é um caso, né? Como a gente realmente não sabe quem é quem, né?
A gente não consegue ler, né? Também.
Não, a gente não tem consciência para diferenciar, né? Confunde.